All right. It's going to be extremely janky, but I don't care. 4 months ago, I said that I believe that Jared Dillard is the greatest wide receiver in college football history that no one has ever heard of. Maybe even the greatest, period. Ever since then, I thought about how I could find out who the best receiver is. So far, so for over a week, I looked at the top statistical players on College Football Reference and created a mathematical formula to find out who is the greatest college football wide receiver ever. Before I start, I need to tell you how I picked what players I would grade and how I graded them. To start off, I got a list of 59 players who, by looking at the top 25 players on College Football Reference in the categories of career receiving yards, career receiving touchdowns, single season receiving yards, and single season receiving touchdowns. After I found the players, I put their stats through my totally not janky mathematical formula called the receiver efficiency formula, or REF for short. What REF is career receptions, like which you can see here, career receptions divided by games played times career yards divided by games played, times touchdowns divided by games played, divided by not at all janky um uh player competition grade that I created, which is M is the whole thing that you divide the formula by. The competition grade is the C is I feel like I wrote this. Yeah. So um, played all divided by a player's competition grade divided by y, which is equal to 0.1044776119403 times the player's competition grade plus 1. Uh, you might be asking what a player's competition grade is, which is a good question because I made it up. Basically, a player's competition grade is the average strength of schedule ranking of a player's team while they played there. So if you played for Ohio State in the past 2 seasons, you would have a grade of 2 because they were second in those 2 seasons. If you don't think it makes sense, that's makes sense because none of it makes sense. Um, so now that I have that done, uh, I'm going to try to tell you a little bit about each player. It took me like 2 hours, or actually, it was more like 6 to 8 hours of just looking at uh, like information about different players. And I got to 32, and I was like, I can just go off the top of my noggin talking about these players. So that is the whole grade we have here. I have some pictures. They are very low quality. I'm telling you, this is extremely janky. But our first player, the extremely pixelated Texas Tech receiver, is Lyle Long. He has a score of 10.44, uh, and he played for Texas Tech from 2007 to 2010. So he's the 15th player. He got on this list by having 19 touchdowns in the 2010 season, being tied for 15th all time in that in just a single season for touchdowns for FBS. He ended up going undrafted in 2011 and ended up signing with the Dallas Cowboys before he would play for the Saskatchewan Roughriders and Hamilton Tiger Cats in 2013. I believe the reason his score is so low is mostly due to playing in a lot of games, but not playing a lot of reps due to a good Texas Tech receiving group. Next, we have Missouri's Denari Alexander with a score of 16.24. He played with the Tigers from 2006 to 2009, and he got on this list by having 1,781 yards in 2009, which is 13th all time. Okay, ooh, a lot of talking. At 56, we have with a score of 19.22, a probably memorable player in Terrence Williams, who played for Baylor from 2009 to 2012 and had 1,832 yards in 2012 and was drafted 74th overall by the Cowboys in 2013 and was a pretty good player for the first 5 out of his 6 seasons with the Cowboys. And I know he played in the UFL, one of the XFL or USFL teams. Uh, but I don't fully know why he left the Cowboys. I know there was a off the field issue, but I couldn't find anything about if that was true or serious. At 55, with a score of 22.55, we have Boise State's Austin Pettis. Uh, who had 39 touchdowns from 2007 to 2010 with the Broncos, which is tied for 18th all time in D1 football for a career. He ended up being drafted in the third round to the St. Louis Rams, where he played for 3.5 seasons before being traded midseason to the Chargers, where he played his last season. At 54, we have Jalen Darden with a score of 24.96, who played for North Texas from 2017 to 2020 and had 38 touchdowns in his career, which is tied for 23rd all time, as well as 19 touchdowns in 2020, where he only played 9 games due to the short season. He was drafted in the 4th round to the Bucks, where he would end up going to the Browns and is now in the Seahawks. Excuse me 1 second. Never mind. I thought I had my cat at the door. I guess not. At 53rd, we have our most recent player to make the list. That is being Zachary Franklin, who played for UTSA for 4 years, then Ole Miss and Illinois for 1 year each, and actually just played his final season for Illinois, and is going to be in the draft this year. From what I can tell, he's not suspected to be actually drafted, but probably signed in free agency. But he has a score of 25.56 due to having 4,038 career yards and 42 career touchdowns, which is high in both metrics. Oh, the cat is not. Hello, Juby. At 52, with the score of 27.6, we have Jacob Cowing, who played for UTEP for 3 years and Arizona for 2 between 2019 and 2023, having 4,477 career receiving yards, which is 7th all time. Cowing just finished his first season in San Francisco as a backup after being drafted 135th overall. Ooh. A lot of talking. At 51st, we have San Diego State's J.R. Tolliver with a score of 29.73, who played from 1999 to 2002, where in his final season he would get 1,785 yards, which is 11th all time. Next, barely beating J.R. Tolliver with a score of 29.74, we have Carlos Henderson, who played for Louisiana Tech from 2014 to 2016, got 19 touchdowns in 2016, which would end up getting him drafted to the Broncos in the 3rd round, where he would not play due to injury and off-field issues. At 49, we have, with a score of 32.41, Bowling Green quarterback turned receiver Freddie Barnes, who played for the Falcons from 2006 to 2009 and had 155 receptions for 1,770 yards and 19 touchdowns in 2009 and was a finalist for the Blitnikoff. Next, we have our first Hawaii player, Greg Salas, who played from 2007 to 2010 with a score of 33.7, due to having 4,345 career yards, with 1,889 of them coming in 2010, which is sixth all time. Salas would end up being drafted by the Rams with the 112th pick in 2011 draft before bouncing around the league and retiring in 2017. Wait, where are we at? At 47, we have Dukes, Clarkson, Hines, who played for the Blue Devils from 1986 to 1989, making him one of the older players on this list. With a score of 34.46, he had 38 career touchdowns. Hines would end up being drafted by the Bills in 1990 in the ninth round and would be on the Bills practice squad in 1990 before being cut. Hines ended up being inducted in the College Football Hall of Fame in 2010. Also, Hines was technically on the Bills Super Bowl roster. Well, on the season that the Bills made the Super Bowl, one of the four of those years. With a score of 36.92 at 46, we have Kendall Wright, who played from Baylor. Played for Baylor from the 2008 to 2011 seasons, having 4,004 career yards, which got him selected with the 20th pick by the Titans in 2012, where he would be a solid contributor for 5 seasons before playing for the Bears and bouncing around practice squads. At 45, we have Trent Taylor. We have our second Louisiana Tech player, Trent Taylor, who played from 2013 to 2016 with a score of 38.13. Taylor would end up having 4,179 career yards and 1,803 yards in 2016, which got him drafted in 2017 by the 49ers with the 177th pick, where he would play there before going to the Bengals, Bears, and then back to the 49ers for this season. At 44, we have Taywan Taylor, with a score of 38.59, who played for Western Kentucky from 2013 to 2016, and had 4,234 career yards, 41 career touchdowns, 1,730 yards in 2016, and 17 touchdowns in 2015 and 2016. Taywan would end up being drafted by the Titans with the 72nd pick and would end up playing 2 years each for the Titans and Browns. At 43, we have East Carolina's Zay Jones, who has the record for career receptions with 399 and has a score of 39.14. Jones had a career total of 4,279 yards and 1,746 yards in 2016, and would end up being drafted 37th overall in 2017 by the Bills, where he would end up being a Super Bowl receiver for the Bills, Raiders, Jaguars, and Cardinals. He's also well known for the clip of him basically levitating upwards when he was on the Bills in 2018 or 2019, I forget. But yeah, he's been pretty good. Next, we have LSU's Josh Reed with a score of 39.31, who played from 1999 to 2001 and had 1,740 yards in 2001, which is 20th all time. Reed would end up being drafted 36th overall by the Bills and would play for them for 8 years. At 41, with 41.1 points with the Oklahoma State. We have Oklahoma State's James Washington, who had 4,472 yards and 39 touchdowns from 2014 to 2017, where he would win the Blitnikoff in 2017 and be drafted by the Steelers in 2018, with a 60th pick where he would play for 4 years before bouncing around teams, benches, and practice squads. At 40, we have SMU's James Proche, Proche? I forgot. I remember I looked up the spelling. The pronunciation, but I don't remember it. Damn. Uh, with a score of 44.04, who played for the Mustangs from 2016 and 2019, including 3,949 career yards and 39 career touchdowns. Parosh, Parosh was drafted by the Ravens in 2020 with the 201st pick, where he would be a good special teams player for the Ravens for 3 years and the Browns for 2 years. At 39, we have our first Nevada player in Jeff Noisy, with a score of 46.33, having 4,249 career yards between the years of 1995 and 98. I couldn't find much stuff on him, but I could find his, if I remember right, his Nevada uh, Hall of Fame page. Coming in at 38 with a score of 47.55, we have Terrence Mathis, who played for New Mexico from 1985 to 1989, having 4,254 career yards and 36 career touchdowns. In 1990, career Mathis would be drafted by the Jets with the 140th pick, where he would play for 4 seasons before playing for the Falcons and got 4,000 yard seasons in his 8 years with the Falcons before playing one last season with the Steelers. Mathis was just inducted into the Georgia Sports Hall of Fame and is going to start his second season as Morehouse head coach this fall. Another interesting thing about Terrence Mathis is I'm pretty sure he is third in both Falcons' career receiving yards and career receiving touchdowns, which is insane thing. At 37, we have our next Oregon State player with a score of 49.96, Brandin Cooks, who played from 2011-2013, winning the 2013 Biletnikoff with 1,730 yards and 16 touchdowns that season. Cooks was drafted 20th overall by the Saints in 2014, where he would play 3 seasons, having 1,000 yards in 2015 and 2016, before being traded to the Patriots for 1 season, where he would have another 1,000-yard season en route to a Super Bowl loss. He would then be traded to the Rams for a first-round pick, where he would get 1,200 yards and lose to the Patriots in that Super Bowl. After an injury-riddled 2019 season, he would be traded to the Texans for a second-round pick, where he would play 3 seasons before he would be traded to the Cowboys and play there for the last 2 seasons. At 36, with a score of 50.03, we have Troy Walters, who played for Stanford from 1996 to 1999, having 3,986 career yards, winning the Biletnikoff in 99. Walters would be selected by the Vikings in the 5th round in the 2000 draft, where he would then play 2 seasons in Minnesota, then 4 years for the Colts, then 1 year each for the Cardinals and Lions. At 35, we have, I think we're going to do this from now on. 35, with a score of 50.67, we have Packers legend Greg Jennings, who played for Western Michigan from 2002 to 2005, where he would have 3,539 career yards and 39 career touchdowns. Jennings would be drafted 52nd overall in 2006 by the Packers, where he would play 7 seasons, being selected to the Pro Bowl twice before playing for the Vikings in 2013-2014, then the Dolphins in 2015. At 34, we have our second Rainbow Warrior. Oh, dang, you couldn't even see them. Okay, there we go now. That's much better. Greg Jennings is the Western Michigan Bronco, and Troy Walters, Stanford, right here. But here we have our second Rainbow Warrior, Ashley Lele, who played for Hawaii from 1999 to 2001 with a score of 51.45, mostly helped by his 1,713 yard and 19 touchdowns in 2001, which got him selected 19th by the Broncos in 2002, where he would play 4 good seasons before playing 1 year each with the Falcons, 49ers, and Raiders. At 33, wait, yeah, with a score of 52.69, we have the only Blindnikoff winner to never play in the NFL, Wyoming's Marcus Harris, who accumulated 4,518 yards, which is fifth most in D1, and 38 touchdowns in his career from 1993 to 1996. At 32, we have Darius Watts with a score of 56.72, who played for Marshall from 2000 to 2003 and had 4,031 career yards and 47 career touchdowns, which is fourth in the FBS. Watts would end up being drafted 54th overall by the Broncos, where he would only play 2 seasons. All right, and now we get to the point where I did not write anything about these players because I got so tired of doing it. Okay. Here's Brandon Cooks, Troy Walters, Darius Watts. Is this who I did? And we are currently on Ryan Yarbrough. Ryan Yarbrough has a score of 56.99. He played for Wyoming from 1990 to 1993 and had 4,357 career yards and 42 career touchdowns. He was a 1992 NCAA receiving yard leader and had pretty good 1993 season where he had 1,512 yards and 16 touchdowns. At 30 now, we have Colorado State's Rashard Higgins, who played from 2013 to 2015 with a score of 57.36. Higgins had 3,649 career yards and 31 career touchdowns, but is on this list for his 2014 season where he had 1,750 yards and 17 touchdowns. At 29, we have Jordan White of Western Michigan, who played for the Broncos from 2007 to 2011. He had a score of 59.15 and had 4,187 career yards and 32 career touchdowns. With a 2011 season where he had 1,911 yards. At 28, we have East Carolina's Justin Hardy, who played from 2011 to 2014 and had 4,541 receiving yards, which is fourth all time in Division I, and 35 career receiving touchdowns. He had a score of 60.61. And yeah. Cat is yelling. Hey. At 27, we have Patrick Edwards of Houston, who played from 2008 to 2011 with 4,507 career yards and 43 career receiving touchdowns. With a score of 60.72. He had 1,752 yards and 20 touchdowns in 2011, which got him Actually, I couldn't see where he was, what pick he was drafted, but I know he's a Lion. Was a Lion. Where, people's careers go to die. I'm saying that as a Lions fan. At 26, we have Rashawn Woods of Oklahoma State, who played from 2000 to 2003 and had 4,414 career receiving yards and 42 receiving touchdowns. with a score of 61.14. He would have 1,695 receiving yards in 2002 and 17 receiving touchdowns in that 2002 season as well. He would be selected 31st overall. I don't know where to, because the research was taking so long. Holy so bad. Okay, at 25, we have Stedman Bailey of West Virginia, who played from 2010 to 2012 with a score of 62.51. He would have 3,218 career yards and 41 career receiving touchdowns, and had 25 touchdowns in 2012, which is tied second of D1. At 24, we have Michigan legend Braylon Edwards. Sorry, that's Stedman Bailey and then Braylon Edwards over the Michigan logo. Braylon Edwards would play for Michigan from 2001 to 2004 and would have a score of 63.37 and would have 3,541 career receiving yards, 39 career receiving touchdowns, and had a 2004 season where it would have 1,330 yards and 15 touchdowns and win the Blitnikoff. At 23, we have a very interesting person in Aaron Turner of Pacific, which is no longer a D1 football college. Aaron Turner would play for Pacific from 1989 to 1992, having 4,345 career receiving yards and 43 career receiving touchdowns. He would also have a score of 66.2, because I'm rounding up. He had a 1991 season with 1,604 yards and 18 touchdowns. That photo you see is the only photo I could find of Aaron Turner and was on his Pacific Football Hall of Fame page. Not tell you if that is actually him. I hope Pacific did their job. Next, we have at 22, Trevor Inslee of Nevada, who played from 1996 to 1999 with having 5,005 yards, which is second all time, and 35 career receiving touchdowns. He has a score of 69.52, nice, and had a 1999 season with 2,060 yards, which is first all time in FBS, and had 13 touchdowns that season. He would not be drafted, apparently, which is just insane to me. Another person who, was drafted, but I think had a pretty underwhelming career, is at 21, Jared Dillard, who I previously said might be the best player ever. Of course, Jared Dillard played for Bryce from 2005 to 2008, and he has a score of 71.1. Dillard would have 4,138 career receiving yards, which is 20th of all time, and 60 career receiving touchdowns, which is first all time by 8 whole touchdowns. He would have a 2,000. He would have his best touchdown season in 2006 with 21 touchdowns, was the 9th all time, and he also had a 20 touchdown season in 2008, which is tied for 10th. Okay, next at 2020 is a name that some people might know in Corey Coleman, who played for Baylor from 2013 to 2015 and had 3,009 career receiving yards and 33 career receiving touchdowns, and has a score of 76.88. Corey Coleman would have a 2015 season where he'd have 20 receiving touchdowns and 1,363 yards, and would be selected 15th overall. At 20, we have another name people will probably remember in Dez Bryant. Dez Bryant played for Oklahoma State from 2007 to 2009 as a score of 78.02. He has 2,425 career yards, 29 career receiving touchdowns, but had a 2008 season that had 19 receiving touchdowns and 1,480 yards, getting selected 24th overall by the Cowboys. At 19, we have a name people might also remember in Corey Davis, who played for Western Michigan from 2013 to 2016, has a ref score of 83.88. Corey Davis would have 5,285 career receiving yards, which is first all time, 52 receiving touchdowns, which is second all time, have a 2016 season where he'd have 1,500 yards and 19 touchdowns and would get selected 5th overall by the Titans. He is famously a bust, though, sadly. At 18, we have Hawaii's Devon Bess, I think being the highest rated Hawaii player on the list and our third Hawaii Rainbow Warrior. He played for Hawaii from 2005 to 2007. I don't remember if I said that. He has a score of 86.05 with 3,610 receiving yards, 41 receiving touchdowns, and having a 2006-2007 run where he had 15 receiving touchdowns in 2006 and 1,266 yards in receiving in 2007. At 17, we have USC's Marquise Lee. And we are starting to get to our higher up scores. Not yet at the cliffs, but we're still getting there. Marquise Lee, who played for USC from 2011 to 2013, with a score of 94.83. Marquise Lee would have 3,655 career receiving yards, 29 career receiving touchdowns, and have a 2012 season where he had 1,721 yards and 14 touchdowns. He would be drafted 39th overall. At 15, we have Devontae Smith, who has probably one of the best receiving seasons ever, I think. Yeah. Alabama's Devontae Smith, who played from 2017 to 2020, with a score of 96.49. Devontae Smith would have 3,965 career receiving yards, which is 25th all-time, 46 receiving touchdowns, which is 5th all-time career, and have a 2020 season which had 1,856 yards and 23 receiving touchdowns. He has one of the lowest competition grades at 4 and won the Heisman. So, which is hard for receivers, especially recently. I think he has the 3rd lowest competition grade. At 14, we have another memorable bust name in Justin Blackmon, who played for Oklahoma State from 2009 to 2011. He would have a ref score of 102.49, being the first player to go over a score of 100. He'd have 3,564 career receiving yards, 40 career receiving touchdowns, and have a 2010 season that had 1,782 yards and 20 receiving touchdowns. He was drafted 5th overall and famously be a bust due to drug issues and off-the-field issues. At number 13, we have many people's favorite player and considered one of the best receivers ever in Larry Fitzgerald in both college and pros, who played for Pitt from 2002 to 2003 and had 2,677 yards and 34 receiving touchdowns in his career. He would also have a score of 106.11 and had a 2003 season with 1,672 receiving yards and 22 receiving touchdowns. At 12, we have another really highly respected receiver in Ja'Marr Chase, who played for LSU from 2018 to 2019. and had a ref score of 114.57. He'd have 2,093 receiving yards, 23 career receiving touchdowns, and have a 2019 season that had 1,780 yards and 20 touchdowns. At 2012, sorry, at number 11, I don't know why I said 2012. At 2011, sorry, brain dead. At number 11, we have, I'm pretty sure, our. Wait, is Larry Fitzgerald in the Hall of Fame? He better be. If he has hit the requirement. We have Howard Twilley, who is a Hall of Famer and sadly passed away recently and is the oldest player on this list. I think he passed away sadly February 5th this year. But Howard Twilley, who played for Tulsa from 1963 to 65, had 3,343 receiving yards and 32 receiving touchdowns. He also had a score of 122.91. He had a 1965 season that had 1,779 yards and 1,965. Sorry, 16 touchdowns in 1965. I was reading that as if it was yards. Yeah. Yeah, Howard Twilley was also a member of the 72 Dolphins. And yeah, is a Hall of Famer. Rest in peace. Uh at the first member of the cliff, the first cliff even, we have at 10 Alabama's Amari Cooper, who played from 2012 to 2014 and had 3,463 career receiving yards and 31 career receiving touchdowns. He had a score of 166.87, which is almost 44 points higher than Twilley. He would have a 2014 season with 1,727 yards and 16 touchdowns. He also had the second lowest competition grade at a 3.3 repeating. He is still in the NFL and a really highly really good receiver. Played really good for the Raiders, the Cowboys, had a good Brown season, had a lackluster season with the Bills, but is still a good receiver. And also, he was picked 4th overall. At 9, we have, in my opinion, the player with the greatest name on this list in a little bit of showing place in Manny Hazard of Houston, who played from 1989 to 1990. He had 2,635 career receiving yards, 27 career receiving touchdowns, a score of 174.90, and had a 1989 season with 1,689 receiving yards and 22 receiving touchdowns. He would not be drafted, where I could see. I could barely find any information on him, and I'm pretty sure that image is a football card of him playing for the Toronto Argonauts. He played in the CFL for like 2 seasons, but I can find almost nothing on him. At 8, on my spreadsheet, it is a little, the numbers are off. But at 8, we have Troy Edwards, who I also talked about in the Jared Dillard video, and who highly impressed me. Troy Edwards played 3 seasons with Louisiana Tech from 1996 to 1998. And had a score of 1,076. Sorry, 176. Did I say 1,000? No, 176. It would be insane if he had 1,000. 176.59. He is, in my books, pretty famous for having 50 receiving touchdowns in a career, a 3-year career, and he's one of 3 players at 50 in Division 1, and the only player to have it in 3 seasons. He also had 4,352 receiving yards, which is 11th all time, and had a 1998 season, which had 1,996 receiving yards, almost the year he did it, and 27 receiving touchdowns, which is first all time. He, he also won the Blitnikoff. He was drafted 13th overall, and if I remember, had a pretty decent career. But like, I don't remember him because I was born in 2006, so I'm a child. Uh, at number 7, we have another name that people will know in Davante Adams, who played for Fresno State from 2012 to 2013 with Derek Carr. He would have a score of 181.17 and have 38 career receiving yards. Sorry, no, three was in 31 career receiving yards and 38 career receiving touchdowns. He would have a 2013 season that had 1,719 yards and 24 touchdowns, which is fourth all time in touchdowns. Uh, was drafted 53rd overall by the Packers and has played 11 plus seasons, and is earlier today or yesterday signed with the Rams. Uh, Hopefully he can do amazing things with Matthew Stafford, who he had to play against for a good amount of time. Okay, now I gotta actually move my there we go. We have at number 6 Alex Van Dyke of Nevada, being the highest rated Nevada player, uh, who and played from 1994 to 1995 with Nevada and has a score of 194.02. Alex Van Dyke, uh, yeah, he was number 6. He had 3,100 career receiving yards, 26 career receiving touchdowns, and had a 1994 season with 16 touchdowns, and 1995 season with 1,854 receiving yards, and has the highest competition grade, which is not a good thing, in the top 10. So he has to fight a pretty hard, like, thing. He has to get a lot of yards and a lot of touchdowns and a lot of stuff like that. Play not a lot of games. And at 5, we have the guy who probably proves that my system might not be as good or is just better than people have ever even thought of. We have Western Kentucky's Jared Stearns. Uh, so Jared Stearns played for Western Kentucky in his junior year of college and had 2021 in 2021. He has a ref score of 194 and had I was wait no. Sorry, I accidentally clicked it on. Sorry, he had his ref score of 207, being the first player on this list. Sorry, 207.92, being the first player on this list to be over 200. He had a 2021 season where he had 1,902 yards and 17 touchdowns and played 14 games, which is just insane. Uh, yeah, I think this was the season with, um, why am I forgetting his name? Bailey Zappi, who had 60 passing touchdowns, which is also an insane stat line. At number 4, we have Oklahoma's Ryan. Wait. We have Oklahoma's Ryan Broyles, who played for Oklahoma from 2008 to 2011, having a score of 212.76. He would have 4,586 career receiving yards, 45 career receiving touchdowns, and have a 2009 season with 15 touchdowns, and 2010 season with 1,622 receiving yards. I'm dyslexic. I'm struggling through this. Um, he would be drafted 54th overall to the Lions. It was either the Lions or the Panthers, either or, not a good team to be drafted to, especially in the early 2010s. Actually, if you waited a little bit longer, Panthers would be cool to be drafted to because of their Super Bowl run, Lions, never cool to be drafted to until now. At number 3, we probably have the number 1 pick to be number 1 on this list, and that is Hall of Famer Randy Moss. Yeah, at a playing from 1997 to 1998, having 1,647 yards and 25. Wait, he only played in one season. Yeah, no. He only played in the 1997-1998 season. That's what I mean. And had 1,647 yards this season, 25 touchdowns. 25 touchdowns being second most in FBS history for a season. He has a score of 243.73, being just barely under 31 points more than Ryan Broyles. Yeah, insane. Next at number 2, we have USC's Dwayne Jarrett. Another bust. He was either drafted by the Lions or Panthers. I mix up Ryan Broyles and Dwayne Jarrett, who were drafted. 2 busts. So not a good rap sheet currently for this score. But playing from 2004-2006 for USC, he has a score of 247.70. He had 3,138 career receiving yards, 41 career receiving touchdowns, and had a 2005 season with 1,274 receiving yards and 16 receiving touchdowns, and also had the lowest average competition grade on this list with a 2.6. I think he also won 2 national championships, which helps when you have Reggie Bush on your team. And at number 1, a name that when I've told people who was number 1, people were like, that makes absolute sense. And that is Texas Tech's Michael Crabtree. One of the main reasons that Lyle Leong is the bottom of this list. Having to play. Also, there's another Texas Tech player from this same year range on this list, if I remember, which is just insane. You have these 3 players on your team, if I remember right. I am looking through the whole thing to try to find it. Wait, F? No. Is it Control F? I'm looking at the wrong thing, I think. Oh no, there's only one. Never mind. But so there's only the 2 that played for the same amount of time. We have Michael Crabtree from Texas Tech, who played from 2007-2008, and had a score of 252.75. Insane stat line. Having 3,127 receiving yards, 41 receiving touchdowns. Had a insane 2007 season with 1,962 receiving yards and 22 receiving touchdowns. Yards being 3rd all time in the season, and touchdowns being tied 6th all time in the season. Just insane player. Yeah. I was planning on originally going and looking through every single, how many teams made this list, what team made this list the most, which conference made this list the most. I do know I looked at what team made the list the most, and that was, I remember Louisiana Tech has a lot. I'm going to fully zoom this out so you can see this. Western Michigan has a lot. Texas Tech has a sorry, not Texas Tech. Texas Tech has two, which is has the bookends, which is insane. USC has two. Alabama has two, which is amazing for two big schools. Oklahoma State has four. They have the most. Yeah, they have the most, which is just also insane. LSU has two. I want to do this, and I want more people just look at every player they possibly can. Uh, I want to do like the top five players of each season. Maybe even look at, because from the drafts uh area, I want to look at the top prospects and give them a rough score. But yeah, also seeing these are top statistical players, and the lowest score is 19, like below 20, which like how low can it go? Like say no, a 10. Like what if you have like a player who has like 100 yards in a like 4 season career and like one touchdown? Like it's not going to be zero. It's going to be like close though. But yeah, I want more people to try to do this, figure out who the best player is. But if you watch this whole 51 minute just video of me telling you the people that I made scores for of a mathematical problem I created, and trying to figure out who the best player is. Thank you. Yeah. You don't need to like, don't need to subscribe, just I want there to be, because we have QBR, we have everything like that. I want there to be a better system of grading players of every different thing. Tell me what I did bad with the system. Please. I want to improve this. I want to get actual people to get this improved. But other than that, thank you so much.